resistance training. So resistance training is going to help you burn calories, which is going to decrease your fat tissue. It's also going to add to your lean tissue, which is going to increase your metabolic process. Also, resistance training is going to help reverse that aging process. And hey ladies, I hear it all the time. I don't want to resistance train because I don't want to get too bulky. We're not going to let that happen. Overall, resistance training improves your health. All right guys, now I'm gonna take you through 5 exercises that are super important. The first exercise we're gonna talk about is the basic squat using your body weight. I want you to stand with your feet a little more than shoulder width apart. Then we're going to drop our bottom, making sure we're almost sitting back into a chair. Then we're gonna stand back up. So let me show you this from another angle. Gonna take your legs about shoulder width apart. I always say booty out, chest out. So you're coming down, then you're gonna push up, out through those heels, core is tight. So I'm just gonna show you here. Every time I come up, I'm gonna squeeze my glutes, core is tight, keeping those knees behind the toes. You can do this anywhere, guys. Just gonna crank them out. If you're falling back on your heels, that's perfect. Lunges. These are gonna work everything down here. So what you're doing with this exercise is, I typically put my hands here on your hips. You don't have to, but we wanna remember to keep our torso tall. We're gonna step out a little bit wider than you think. You've got your knee 90 degrees, push back up through the heel, core is tight. Gonna alternate. Again, make sure the knee stays behind the toe, push through the heel, coming back. Let's give you guys another angle here. So what you're doing is step out, keep that knee behind the toe, push through the heel, core is tight. Next up, alternate, keeping a 90-degree angle, push back up. You're just gonna alternate them now. Great exercise, gonna use all of your lower body. Push-ups. Push-ups are an awesome exercise you can do anywhere. So let me show you here what you're doing. Putting those hands on the ground, gonna come down 90 degrees, push it back up. A really important thing you wanna think about is keeping that core nice and tight. You can also modify it if you need to. You gotta find out where your comfort level is first and foremost. So if you're gonna modify it, you've got your knees down, core tight, drop it down 90 degrees, push it back up. You can crank them out. Big thing to remember is if you're up here, you want to keep your core tight, not sagging, keeping that back nice and strong. Come down, crank them out. All right, guys, next up, we're gonna talk about the plank. The plank is so important to work your core, and I'm gonna show you a couple different ways that you can do this. You can go down in a high plank where you're up on your hands, you've got your core nice and tight, or you can go down onto your elbows. This is a more traditional, but the main important thing that I want you to think about is not letting the low back start sagging, because a lot of times you're gonna hold these for a duration of time. So let's say you're holding it for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and on up. But the most important thing you wanna do is keep that back from sagging. So, show you here again, up on the hands, you've got core nice and tight. This is what you want to watch for, keeping it up here. Then, other modification, down here on your elbows, holding the core tight, glutes tight. You can bring those heels, you can get fancy with it, whatever you want to do. All right, so next up we've got the bird dog. Bird dog is a great exercise. It's gonna work all your core, a lot of stabilizers, and the back. So you're gonna go in, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you a side view of this. So you're coming down on a 6-point stance. You've got your toes touching, knees touching, hands touching. So the harder you make this, the more you bring all your hands and knees and feet together, the easier, less challenging will be bringing your legs out and hands out a little bit further. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take your opposite wrist to your opposite knee. So you're gonna bring them in, touch, then extend the leg out, the arm out. Now you've got your toe pointed towards the midline and your heel is what drives the motion. So you want to do these slow and controlled. The first thing I always find people doing is going really fast at them. So then you'll switch it up. I recommend doing about 20, 25 of them each side. Then you'll switch it up. Remember to drive the heel, squeeze the glute. Abs are staying tight. And that, my friends, is the bird dog.